Show me a FromSoft game with good combat. I said a FromSoft game with good combat. I said perfection. Let's do this. Can you beat Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, normally? A shinobi that's lost all hope. A child with a powerful bloodline. A monkey that somehow knows sword fu. This is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, a scintillating dance of clashing katanas where the aim is to deflect, deflect, and, of course, deflect in service of your Lord Kuro. Or not if you're so inclined. Now, I swear that this time there will be absolutely nothing strange going on, and this will be a completely normal playthrough of the... Oh, god damn it. Shall we just get this over with, yeah? As with all of these normal videos, a brief disclaimer. Everything done here is on the current patch of the game on the PlayStation Edition. So, yes, it all still works, and while I adopt a casual attitude towards the difficulty of some of the tricks here for the sake of humour, make no mistake that they can be extremely precise or RNG based. So, if you're going to try and learn them, be prepared to sink many hours in. Rules? Just one. I do what the hell I want. Thanks. With all that said, relax, kick back, and enjoy. Ah, Ashina. So pretty at this time of year. First things first, of course, I would need to create a character. This looks good enough. I shall call him Norm the Wolf.
It's been too long, Wolf.
That's Mr. the Wolf to you, kid. After being presented with my katana and healing flask by Kuro, because leaving a small child prisoner in possession of a sword seems like a sensible security decision, I carved my way through the tutorial grunts before giving in to the inevitable and letting Genichiro disarm me in the most literal way possible. It's cool though, I got a new prosthetic arm for my troubles, which was nice because now it would feel like someone else was doing it to me. And I was ready to grapple my way into the big wide world.
Run, Forrest, run!
You okay there, pal? Generic big sword helmet general guy dude number 1 could wait for now. But I did have a few items to collect on my shopping list. I grabbed the shuriken tool, spoke to the old lady for the Hirata bell, purchased the firecrackers from the memorial mob, met Anayama the peddler and initiated his quest, and took a delve into the past for the axe and flame vent prosthetics. With a total of 4 prosthetic attachments so far, I returned to the sculptor to install them, obtained the first 2 skill books, and went back to the outskirts to handle Shrek's submissive meth head cousin. Don't mind him, I think I wore him out.
What is this life but a cycle of unending pain?
I figured that it might take a whole 2 minutes to actually kill him, and that just won't do. Therefore, hurling myself into the void for 12 hours straight felt like a more optimal solution. I never said I was good at maths. Still, sometimes all you really need is a leap of faith. A leap of dex? Whatever. Bye bye, Stinky. Exploring the science
Behind the magic.
If you know your Sekiro, a couple of things might have seemed off about that clip. But first, let's talk about one of the most common skills used in skips. The delayed jump. By hitting jump on a precise frame after Norm, has run off an edge, you can propel yourself off an invisible platform to extend your jump distance. Now, there are actually 2 variations of this. One where you jump just after you leave the edge, and one with a far more exaggerated action that obviously lets you get much further. Back to the ogre. If you've watched a speedrun of this game, you'll have seen a different version of this skip performed. The problem is, this variant is an absolute bitch to input on a controller, and I play on console. The version I performed has easier inputs, but here's the rub. It requires the extended version of the air jump, and at 60 FPS, this just doesn't seem doable. The game seems to restrict you to the shorter version every time. I attempted this skip for over 12 hours on my PS5 with no luck at all. After transferring my save to the PS4, where the game runs at 30 FPS, I was able to nail the jump within 20 minutes of trying. So if you're going to attempt this, be warned. Next time on Ashina Science News, how to store your granddad inside the folds of your neck for safekeeping. With the ogre temporarily indisposed, I could help myself to a gourd seed and stealth my way through the next area. I am bad at stealth. Of course, to progress further through the game, I would need to handle the man with the most hype voice line of any boss ever, the Tree Sentinel.
My name is Kyobu Masaki!
Yeah, I know your name, Mr. Gyoza Miyazaki Yamaha. Let's get on with it. If you know anything about skips in Sekiro, then you'll know this one, since it's pretty infamous. But here's how to set it up consistently against Gyobu. Jump down and head straight for this item on the ground. Make a left when you reach it and head for the left hand side of this pile of corpses. Turn right around the back of it and head straight to the back right side of this tower. This ensures that Gyobu won't smash the tower down instantly as he circles, giving you time for the climb up. Don't stand right up against the tower or you'll just clip against it. Double jump up and grab, then jump up and grab again, and run off the roof at this angle with a delayed jump to grab the wall. The delayed jump here is pretty easy, as you can slide straight off the roof with no resistance, but I still recommend practicing the timing somewhere safer first. No time to relax just yet, as I still had a rabble of enemies to deal with. These guys seem important, I should probably take them out. Holy shit, he really was important, huh? Thanks for the memories, Gyobu. Or just the memory. With the arena now clear, I met up with the fearsome warrior Pingu and helped him to fix his pest control problem by eliminating the biggest threat to Ashina. Short people. Which rewarded me with the Ashina skill tree, and I progressed onwards to the castle. Now, Miyazaki loves to pull a sneaky and give us a hidden path or two. Like this one, which involves a jump onto this tree branch, followed by a sharp jump to the right onto the wall. Curse you and your elaborate platforming, FromSoft! According to my notes, there should be a mini-boss somewhere here, but that sounds like a load of bull to me. I grappled down to the castle steps idle, rested up, and took in the majesty of Ashina Castle. Like, look at this door knocker, for example. So realistic. Its eyes really follow you around the room. Man, they should call me Simon Cowell the way I pop idols. Yeah, that joke only works for a British audience, since the show wasn't even called Pop Idol anywhere else. Why the hell is this still in the script? With the castle open to me, I now had plenty of new areas to explore. But here's the important stuff. I headed up to the antechamber idol for another gourd seed and looted the interior. Went down to the old grave to meet Black Hat Badger and buy anti-air deathblow and the umbrella tool from him. Collected another gourd seed on the way to the gun fort, which is the best farming spot for this stage of the game, and went down into the abandoned dungeon. I'll be back for you, mate. Oh, and my notes say something about combat along the way as well, so I guess here's some of that.
Spinning, spinning red and white flowers. Only one pure white flower. The pure white flower I cannot find.
What?
In Senpo's fortress, I helped myself to another seed, met the old lady whose milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, brought a present for best boy Kotaro, and stepped onto the bridge to face the mighty Iron Golem. Of course, the gimmick with this fight is that you have to make him fall off the edge. You know, like if you just run off here at this angle, and then wait for him to come over and let gravity take its course. You know, the normal way of doing it. Something something Roberto! Oh.
Please show me.
All right.
I never thought I'd see it with my own eyes. It is rather strange.
What? What?
Is it a birthmark?
What?
I'm beginning to have my doubts about the legitimacy of your medical qualifications, lady. By now, I had accumulated a fair stack of skill points, so it was about time I unlocked some skills, including Mikiri counter, Ichimonji, ascending and descending carp, and flowing water. I also used Gyobu's memory for my first attack power boost, and returned to my roots at the reservoir to deal with the best boss in the game, Lone Shadow Long Swordsman, which I believe is Japanese for c*** in a well. This guy doesn't deserve to be cheesed, so with the power of a sugar rush, some fancy sword glitter, on my trusty axe, I made short work of him and accessed my real target, the Shishimen warrior in the abandoned dungeon. Here's a little trick you might not have seen. Aggro him with a shuriken from the ledge, and then run over here until the health bar disappears. Run back alongside the wall without stopping, and wait on this ledge for him to stop pondering his orbs or whatever he's doing. Then grapple up, lock on, and do a running jump off this outcrop for a free plunge attack. The timing is incredibly tight for the death blow, be warned. Spice up your blade, and then handle phase 2 as usual. Now that the dungeon path was clear, I could access the Ashen Depths, which, while nice for collecting more loot, wasn't hugely useful to me yet, as for entirely masochistic reasons, I'd need to leave Snake Eyes alive for later. So instead I returned to Hirata for some unfinished business. Firstly, I purchased the Red Gourd from the Pot Noble, for reasons. Whilst here, I figured I may as well kill the Shinobi Hunter blocking the path. This mini-boss is effectively an extended tutorial for the Mikiri counter skill, which, as everybody knows, is the Japanese word for burn everything down with a flamethrower, since, of course, Sekiro is a game all about deflecting. With the way ahead open, I could ignore the purple ninja and pick up Mistraven, and watch my daddy dearest die a disappointingly dull death caused by a severe lack of shampoo. I now had more skill points to spend as a result of my Hirata escapades, so I unlocked Shinobi Eyes, which increases posture damage dealt by a Mikiri counter, and one of the most important skills for this run, Vault Over. No, hear me out. Everything I'd done up to this point was simply preparation for the real fight. Genichiro.
Is that so?
No need to deal with this guy. A well-placed delayed jump out of this window lets you avoid all of that cha-ching cha-ching nonsense.
For as long as you are alive. The dragon's blood can never be mine.
My god, could you be more edgily cringe? Now, Genny is the perfect fight for this stage in the game, since he tests your knowledge of everything you've been taught thus far. So, here's my ultimate tutorial on how to apply the lessons of the game to this encounter.
For her sake, I will shed humanity itself.
Okay, I guess you could be more edgily cringe, huh? Talk to Emma, talk to Kuro, talk to Ishin, talk to Kuro, talk to Emma, talk to Kuro. Jeez, Miyazaki, why can't I deflect all this dialogue? With Genichiro out of the picture for now, I could devote myself to indulging Kuro in his silly little treasure hunt, which involves collecting a flower, a stone, and a sword, the feared Mortal Blade. Unfortunately, in order to obtain the Mortal Blade, I would need to face the most fearsome boss in the game. The Folding Screen Monkeys. This is obviously a terrifying challenge that I would only be able to overcome by upgrading my weapon to something better, like the Mortal Blade, which you can get your hands on by simply performing a delayed jump off this branch towards a very precise spot on the wall, and then turning your camera and wall jumping frame perfectly over the invisible barrier on this rooftop, before running into this rock and jumping over thin air to land inside the inner sanctum. I definitely nailed this first try and didn't spend 15 hours doing it, including one attempt where I made the first jump only to fuck up the second one and end up stuck behind the wall. Make that 2 attempts. But, you know, if that had happened, the footage would look a little bit like the stuff I just showed you. Theoretically.
Do you know of the blade that cannot be drawn?
Yes.
It is so called, for not one who has drawn it has ever survived.
Are you sure about that?
You can't be sure of!
Looks nice, but I suppose I'd better test this thing out for sharpness. Yep, it's sharp. Finally, I was overpowered enough to overcome the monkeys. Mortal Draw, my beloved, how I have missed you. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something told me that I probably didn't need the Mortal Blade for this fight. But hey, at least now I could get my hands on the Mortal... Oh. But Baron, why bother with the monkeys at all if you already have the Mortal Blade? Sure, I partly did it just for the bit, but I also needed to unlock Puppeteer Ninjutsu so I could swing my way over to the Sunken Valley Cavern Idol and plunge the snake. Snake not found. Oh well. At least by lining up with a streamer and the rock face in the background, I could jump down onto this ledge, mysteriously come back to life, and then continue downwards into the lake and onto Riven Cave, completely avoiding the need to fight this creepy little Spider-Man. I fought him anyway for the fan prosthetic, but that doesn't fit the narrative, so just ignore it or something. Sunken Valley truly is one of the most beautiful locations in any FromSoft game, with its snow-capped statues, lush verdant foliage, and poison swamp. Thanks, Miyazaki. At this point, you're just trolling. Oh my god. Guardian Ape was the next name on my kill list, but I'd need to do some prep. As I mentioned before, the Gun Fort is an excellent location to farm at this stage of the game, and I needed a cool 4,000 sen in order to buy and install my next toy, the Phantom Kunai. Might as well go back to the outskirts and test it on this guy, since I wouldn't say no to a gourd seed. Yes. So, anyway, like I said, Sekiro is a game all about deflecting. Now, what was that about a monkey with anger issues? I never want to see that guy again. Allow me to briefly talk about something I didn't really feature in this run. During that fight, you might have seen this, which is a little odd since this is the cleave type spear and it doesn't have a charge attack. See, by pressing the switch prosthetic button and using the tool immediately after, you can get some slightly funky move swap effects. For example, by switching to the sparking axe from a crouched position with the firecrackers, you can do far more posture damage than with the normal axe attack. These swaps aren't game breaking, but if you want to mess around with them, I'll link a more detailed vid in the description. Next time on Ashina Science News. Why isn't Wolf fatter, given the amount of candy he eats? Sneaking up on Snake Eyes for a free death blow, and then luring her into the poison to slowly die, is the oldest trick in the book, but just a couple of tips for consistency. Once she's in the water, peek out over this ledge until you see her raise her gun. Step away to avoid getting clipped by the blast, and move back to the edge straight away to bait the next shot. As long as she's stuck in the shooting loop, she won't move around, so you can keep her in the poison, before finishing her off safely with a shuriken to trigger the death blow. Of course, killing her unlocks her spirit ashes. So nice of FromSoft to put an easy mode into the game.
Actually, given the existence of the Demon Bell and Kuro's Charm, the normal mode actually is the easy mode of this game. Now give me upvotes.
Ignore that guy, Snake Eyes. We've got ourselves a monkey to deal with. Again. This girl put in some serious work and carried hard, even hitting the ape to trigger the first death blow. What a great team we made. Snake Eyes! No! I shall avenge you! Even though I had a backup save, I wasn't doing all those shenanigans again. So I guess it was time to fight Ape and Apessa normally. And by normally, I obviously mean by jumping backwards, spamming Mortal Draw at the ape after the first death blow to try and kill it before it could even summon the wife. Sadly, a dropped input cost me the chance, but by then he was so low on health anyway that I could basically just ignore the brown ape while I finished him off to unlock the path onwards to Mibu Village. Still have no idea what the hell these things are for. Sure they're useless though.
The one of whom I speak hides in an abandoned temple up ahead.
An abandoned temple?
An abandoned temple.
An abandoned temple?
An abandoned temple.
An abandoned temple?
Yes, it's an old building.
An abandoned temple?
I was going to make a joke about the fog in this area, but I couldn't really think of one, so I guess that was a missed opportunity. Anyway, nothing is a bigger joke than the Mist Noble, and there's really not much to say here except to point out that by double jumping up onto this tree branch, and then turning around and jumping onto the roof, you can shortcut straight to the boss. Though, to be honest, it's hardly worth it outside of speedruns, since it's not exactly difficult to reach in the normal way. With the fog cleared, I made my way down to Mibu Village with an obviously perfectly calculated jump. Made a couple of brief stops to pick up the pine resin ember and speak to the basket guy for no other reason than he's the best NPC in the game, and ran past Orin. I didn't want to disturb her since she sounded like she was taking a shit, but she clearly took offence and ghosted me so hard that she just fucking threw herself off the bridge. So apparently that's something that can happen. Okay, good, she's back now. That shamisen isn't going to play itself. At the end of Mibu Village, the corrupted monk awaited me. I don't think she heard the doorbell ring, so I just let myself in and made myself comfy, before spamming her with ash and firecrackers to make her gradually step backwards, standing on this thing, I don't know what it is, jumping backwards and propelling myself forwards off a rock for a free death blow. Because Sekiro is a game all about deflecting. Now, if I don't mention this, my comments will explode, but there is an easier way to do this by taking contact medicine and then using Mistraven to gain height. The problem is, this doesn't seem to work on PS5, whereas the other method does work consistently. So that's why. Now go away, shoo! Whoa, I can swim underwater in this game? Damn, I better make sure not to abuse the hell out of that mechanic. Let's talk about another one of Sekiro's most well-known glitches. By finding a spot where you can get out of bounds whilst being in the water, like this patch of river in Hirata, where you can flip yourself over an invisible wall, and then diving down, you can swim through a lot of the out of bounds architecture and keep going right up into the sky, which then allows you to swim through the air pretty much anywhere that has no kill planes. Hirata looks so peaceful from up here. Probably because I already cleared out all the enemies before doing this, but yeah.
Now then, son of Owl, shall we dance?
How the turntables, Grandma. It seems I am the butterfly now. Ouch! Doing this taught me two things. The first is that by just spamming R1 at her from the swimming position, she literally has no response to it. The second, more disappointing thing, is that I couldn't deathblow her like this. Boo! It's fine though, because we have rivers of blood at home. tough fight this when you have 7 attack power. I feel like the game wanted me to have this a little earlier. Whilst we're on the subject of bestowal ninjutsu, a little curiosity you might not be aware of is that if you use this on the geckos, you can imbue your sword with poison or lifesteal rather than the normal red effect. It's fairly useless for a lot of the game due to the placement of the geckos, but hey, it's a cool little detail. An important decision loomed over me menacingly, like a spider in my shower. So first, I decided to progress some important side stuff. I intended to ultimately do the Dragon's Homecoming ending to the game, so I went through the whole rigmarole of overloading on carbs before feeding some suspicious looking fruit to a sickly child. A couple of ranks of shinobi medicine could always come in useful, so I decided to get rid of the ogres in the outskirts and the base of the castle. And the first one ended up getting wrecked so hard, I'm not sure he knew what century it was by the end of it. I also had no idea what century it was supposed to be, but that's beside the point. By now, I had enough skill points to max out one of my trees. So Ishin rewarded me with his ultimate skill book, which ended up being just a bunch of diagrams of a strange device made out of a Pringles tube and a couple of sponges. I have no idea why I'd need that. Oh, yeah, and I took out some of the trash. Oi, you, mate, get over here, yeah, will ya? Yep, that's it, right there, yep, good stuff. Now if you want to talk about it, feel free to come back up and we can discuss things further. Haha, psych. I have no idea why or how this works, but I'm not going to debate it. With the Lotus of the Palace and the Shelter Stone finally collected, it was time to make my way to the top of the castle to make sure that Kuro was safe during the invasion. I mean, yes daddy, of course daddy, I shall kill everyone. Seems like a reasonable request. Don't worry, I made a backup save at this point, so you will get to see the proper ending to the game. But for now, let's dance.
You must be destroyed.
With the option available to remain in normal new game after the ending, I pondered a question. What happens if you use the air swim glitch to reach Fountainhead after the Shura ending? By running off here in the Apes boss arena, and then jumping through this wall in a very specific way, you can land on a small patch of ground out of bounds. Follow the wall along, being careful to avoid the gaps you can fall into, until you reach this pool of water. Dive down, and here's a brief guide on how to air swim to Fountainhead. Aside of being more misty than usual, presumably due to True Monk still being alive, Fountainhead is much the same as normal, and you can still fight the Divine Dragon and obtain the tears. You will even be teleported back to Ashina Castle at the end to find a magically still alive Emma kneeling over a complete lack of Ishin. Why won't you just die already? Sadly, she won't speak to you, so you can't obtain the secret passage key, and so I never got to see if both endings were possible on one game cycle. But I thought it would be interesting to show you anyway. Next time on Ashina Science News, an in-depth look at the ecosystem that lives in Owl's hair. How am I back here again? Well, first of all, through the power of backup saves, all things are possible, so jot that down. Don't worry, Kuro, I got you. No gimmicks or glitches for this one, just a straight up clash of swords. So I guess it's time for art to imitate life as I disappoint one of my parents.
He's huge and he's hairy and his sword is very scary. He's the owl, he's the owl, he's the great shinobi owl. He's big and he's bad, he pretends just to be your dad. He's the owl, he's the owl, he's the great shinobi owl. He's a demon with a blade and hits like a ton of bricks, but you can punish when he shurikens and does his funky flip. So throw your little pellets, I don't really give a shit. Daddy dearest, I don't need to hear if I'm not getting hit. You should try a little harder, cause I'll parry every slash. Chuck your firecrackers, I'll just do a forward double dash. Surprise, I'm now behind you, winding up for my attack. Cause that's one thing about family, they always got your back. He's huge and he's hairy and his sword is very scary. He's the owl, he's the owl, he's the great shinobi owl. He's big and he's bad, he pretends just to be your dad. He's the owl, he's the owl, he's the great shinobi owl. Great shinobi.
You taught me well.
That's my boy.
Purification?
Yes. It says here.
Yeah, I don't really care, I'm not doing your ending anyway. After liberally dousing myself in aftershave, I returned to the wedding cave for my date with the biggest straw man since the last time I read through a political argument on Reddit, and arrived at Fountainhead the legally prescribed way. Oh god, not you again. I can't take this anymore. So long, cruel world. You good there?
Help me, Stepwolf. I'm stuck.
Don't worry, I know how to free you. Just need to give it a few good hits with some red lube, and there we go. Yep, nice T-pose to celebrate. You earned it. Okay, thanks, bye! Akami leader Shih Tzu will always snipe you when you enter the water here. Unless, of course, you just hide behind this tree for cover, then make a run for it. A swim for it? Even if you die in the next section, as long as you time your resurrect properly, you'll make it to the carp zone safely and skip most of the area. Not that Shizu is particularly hard to take out. Why isn't she listed in the same tier as Miss Noble when it comes to total pushovers? Hey there, lady. What you doing? Making some lunch? While I was in the palace, I figured I might as well backtrack and do some side stuff just for the hell of it. In this case, scale hunting and buying up the pot noble's inventory to obtain his bait so I could feed it to the big fish to turn the pot noble into a little fish. Why? I have no idea. Oh yeah, and that made this guy sad.
Master.
Not much to say about Divine Dragon really, just ride the lightning with no remorse until it fades to black, gather the tears, and get teleported back to a world on fire and a dead Pingu. New game. Take a drink every time someone calls the Demon of Hatred a Dark Souls boss in Sekiro, and try not to die from liver failure. Now, I'd really love to just fight the Demon of Hatred, but in the interest of science, it would be remiss of me not to repeat the Gyobu skip off the tower to make the demon hurl itself off the edge, since this is the main reason people are aware of this skip anyway. Breaks my heart to have to do it, but here we are. Also, I'm not going to say no to free attack power. I also want to point out that I've seen another far more obscure way to perform this skip, using the Mist Raven and Contact Medicine combo. But at this stage I had already clocked in comfortably over 100 hours on this run, including learning all the skips and farming for assorted items. So the prospect of potentially spending another 15 hours learning a super fiddly new bit of tech just for 15 seconds of footage was not the one. I'll link a vid I found on Bilibili of a Chinese speedrunner performing the skip though, in case you're interested. With all that said and done, my journey was approaching its end. Just the final challenge of Sword Saint Ishin to get through. Oh, and this guy as well, although by now you could probably beat him to death with one of those foam hands people wear at sports events. Of course, I could just go for a hat trick of double death blow glitches on the big lad, but you've already seen that one enough by now. And besides, this fight is one of my trio of FromSoft faves, alongside Medea and Lady Step on Me. So here's an actually normal Ishin fight to round this off. By normal, I obviously mean damageless aside from lightning reversals at base posture and vitality, but still. Disclaimer, I'm no Ongbao, but I'm still fairly happy with this one, so sit back and enjoy. Well, there it is. You were probably expecting me to say that by now. Ashina was returned to the great beyond. The divine child Kirby'd Kuro right into her. We set off together to return the dragon's heritage to sender. The final credits rolled, and I had beaten Sekiro completely normally. That was fun. Hope you all enjoyed. Just one question though. Does anyone know what these things do? Anyone? Help?
Hello, is anyone going to actually show up? I'm getting really bored here. Hello? Hello?